butchers are on site at both stores and will help you select the best cuts of meat and trim them to your liking. Our USDA Choice beef is the most consistently tender, juicy, and flavorful beef you can buy, all at cost plus 10%.
Ford Truck Month is going on now at Bill Jackson Ford, and folks, we have the deal for you. Take up to $6,000 off MSRP and get 0% APR for 72 months for huge savings on a new 2019 Ford F-150. Select new 2019 Ford Mustang starting at an incredibly low $23,900. Or drive home a select new 2019 Ford Escape starting at just $18,900. Bill Jackson is the name you've trusted for over 30 years. Check us out on Highway 231 in Troy or online at BillJacksonFord.com.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
Good morning and welcome to Today in L.A. I'm Mike Amos. He's Bill Rice, Jr. And good morning to you and hope that you're doing well. Boy, that is a blue shirt.
I like it.
I have on it. It's Easter.
Let me see. I hope you don't.
No, it's going to be fine. I hope everybody's doing well this morning on this, already into March. The actual day in March is of course, we had February the 29th. That comes around, every 4 years?
Uh-huh.
But, and of course, today is the second.
I don't know if it's the second or third because of the leap year.
We might be a little confused today.
It's March.
Yes, it is. I promise you it's March, and I hope everybody's doing well today. Of course, we've got a lot going on. Troy's baseball team played very well, but they lost all 3 games to Florida, and the Charles Henderson girls won the state championship in girls basketball. Congratulations to them. And
in thrilling fashion.
And the Pike County Bulldogs won their game. So we've got 2 state champions from Pike County right here in Troy, Alabama. And, of course, congratulations to Coach Holland and his team. And, boy, they played well, and so did Charles Henderson.
Coach Jones' team. We watched it. Well, my wife watched the Charles Henderson game on her little cell phone, and I listened to it on the radio. And I got so nervous in the second half. Madison was winning by 3 points, and I had to go outside to change Charles Henderson. So I took the kids out to let Jack drive in his little dune buggy he got for Christmas. And then about 45 minutes later, Carrie comes out on the deck screaming, "We won! We won!" And then I read all about it, and second state championship in 3 years, Mike. Exactly. And it could have been 3 and 4 because if I remember correctly, Charles Henderson almost won another state championship and lost in the finals. And they finished the year undefeated.
No question about it, and that was wonderful.
They won by 2 over a very good Madison Academy team.
That Charles Henderson team now has won 2 state championships in the last 4 years.
3 years, I think.
It could be 3 years. We need to check on that. And somebody call in. How many is that?
Well, they won the year before last. Then last year when they had Mara, who's now up north in the Big Ten, they got upset before they made it to Birmingham.
That's right. I want to say, one of the teams that was in the playoffs this year beat them. No, it might have been. I'll tell you what, it was.
It was Ramsey, wasn't it?
No, I think one year it was Winona that beat him
in the finals.
That was with the coach, and I don't know if he's dead now or not, but he had won several state championships.
Well, what a run, what a season. One article I read said that the last time a team went undefeated in girls basketball in Alabama was 2016, and there's only been 20. Charles Henderson is only the 23rd team in the history of the public school league to run the table in girls basketball. 29-0, I think.
Well, it surprised me there was that many.
I know.
Gosh, that was really something. Of course, all of you that went up to Birmingham to see the game had to be thrilled. They hit a shot at the buzzer, a 3-point shot at the buzzer, or it would have been by 5. But they knew they had won it as a last.
Did you watch it or listen to it? Or?
No, I didn't. I listened to it, listened to the whole game, but I didn't. I wasn't near a television, but I sure did listen to every second of it. And
well, here's Micaiah Hobdy is a freshman, and with a minute and 15 left in the game, the score was tied 44-44. Madison had the ball, so they could have taken the lead. And Hobdy stripped the girl with the ball and went in for a layup, and that was the key play of the game. And then they hit some key free throws down the stretch. The coach's daughter, Naira Jones, who my wife tells me goes by the name Tootie.
Yeah, that's right.
She hit 2 key free throws. I think she finished 4 for 4 for the game, and she was the MVP of the whole tournament. Scored 16 points in the finals.
And the one thing you do not do is foul her. I've said this over and over again, and people say, "You're crazy, Mike. You don't know what you're talking about." That girl, Jones girl, probably is the best free throw shooter in town. That means at Troy University. That means anybody else in town. That is anybody that goes to this university or whatever.
Yeah.
I would put her in a free throw shooting match with any of and I'm talking about men too.
Yeah.
I think she's the best free throw shooter in town. I think she's 80-something%, which is pretty good.
Which would Troy University doesn't have anybody that shoots that, or Charles Henderson?
Not who have shot that many. They might have. You might have somebody that's shot 8 or 10, but this girl shot over 100 free throws.
Boy, she was the obvious leader of the team, and she's going to Belmont. And, boy, they got a great one in her.
Boy, I know how in the world they got her. I don't know. Of course, Belmont's located right across the street from Vanderbilt. I'm sure Vanderbilt would have loved to have her. And Troy, I'm sure, would love to have her. And, of course, Troy's basketball is playing tremendous right now. They went to South Alabama and came from behind and won that game. And they'll be going to the tournament in New Orleans next week sometime, I think.
Didn't they win the regular season?
Yeah, that's right. And I don't know exactly how they came out in the regular season, but I think they did. Want to mention, we've lost a couple of good people, but none better than John Doyle. John Doyle, you want to call him John Doyle the second, was a man that was very influential in Pike County and surrounding counties, and he was involved in a lot of things. And one of the things he was involved in was the treasure forest.
I know that. I remember that from back when I was in the newspaper business here.
Now I'll tell you another thing about him too. He was either the first or second man at Alpha.
Yep.
I mean, he was a big roller at Alpha, and we want to honor him today. He's a charter member of the Pike County Treasure Forest chapter, and served on the Alabama Federal Treasure Forest Association, and was president of the Alabama Forestry Council. All kinds of things and plaudits go out to John Doyle today, and the plaque was presented by Jeff Knotts, to Miss Doyle, Miss Carol Doyle, in honor of her husband's contribution to the Pike County Treasure Forest chapter. And what a wonderful person John was, and he's going to be missed for a long time. But his legacy will live on. No question about it.
No, he was a fine gentleman. And that Treasure Forest program is really something. I've written several stories about it. You know, they've been over a decade ago, but a lot of these landowners, you know, it kind of gives you a template of what you can do to maximize the resources and beauty of your forest. And a lot of people follow this program to a T, and then you can tell the difference when they do.
Oh, yeah, no question. Troy University basketball went to Mobile and got beat pretty handily by 15 points by the University of South Alabama. And Troy's final basketball game of the year will be at home tomorrow night at the Trojan Arena. It should be a lot of fun. 6 o'clock tip, and we want everybody that can to be there to support this Troy team. They had a lot of injuries during the season and
lost a lot of players. I think the future's bright with our coach. I think he's going to do a good job.
He's going to go out and get a lot of players, and you know, those weren't his players. Those were you know, most of the players. Well, I'm sure they were his players, but at the same time, he didn't recruit these guys, and he had to go with what he had, and hopefully he'll turn this thing around next year.
I got a good feeling that he will. I've been to a couple games. One time you gave me passes to the Trojan room, and he comes in there before the game and talks to these fans who are the biggest boosters of the program, and I was real impressed by him and the way he reaches out to these people and the plan he has for the future. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 or 4 years, but I got no doubt he'll have Troy right back at the top of the conference standings, competing for an NCAA berth very soon.
No question about it. And we appreciate our sponsors, P.S. Falk Furniture in Enterprise, Alabama today, and I want to say good morning to Andy and all the great people down there. It's only one of the very few furniture stores that I can't walk into it unless I buy something. I mean, you see deals, you say, gosh, I can't believe that they're selling that for that low price, or look at how unique that piece of furniture is. It is an outstanding furniture store, and they do a lot of work with people that have places at the beach. They'll drive all the way to Enterprise to buy beach furniture and whatever.
Well, from everything I gather, and you just said, he's got a lot of items and pieces that other furniture stores don't carry.
And another one, he's another one that could be affected by this flu virus because, you know, they're shutting down so many places. But you know, he travels all over the world.
You know, you're right. I read a report this weekend on that coronavirus, and some business consultant, take it for what it's worth, said that by April, we're going to start seeing empty shelves at Walmart's and Target stores.
Gosh.
I don't know if this is exaggeration or not, but, you know, if you would just count all the items at Walmart that have, if you read the fine print that says made in China, then you get some kind of indication of what could happen, because from what I gather, you know, the factories are either completely shut down, or a lot of them are completely shut down or functioning at much lower capacity. So that pipeline of exports is going to be heavily affected all over the world, and most noticeably in America, you would think.
No question about it. One of my dear friends lost a loved one this past weekend. Betsy Dickert Bowden of Brundage went to be with our Lord Jesus Christ in heaven on Tuesday, the 25th, as a result of injuries sustained in a car wreck on January the 12th. I did not know that they were going through all this. She was a 1982 graduate of Pike Liberal Arts School and lived most of her life in Brundage area before moving to Quincy, Florida. Of course, she graduated from Massey Drone Business College and Kaiser University, and it's awfully sad.
Who was her father?
Well, her father was, let's see here, Lawrence and Sarah Bowden. Lawrence Bowden, who's on this show so many times throughout the year. This was his daughter, and it's really tough. And of course,
I was thinking, how was he kin to Don Dickert?
Well, I'm sure there was some relationship. She had a daughter, Catherine Caddy, and Bowden of Brundage, and siblings Lawrence Carter, our carpenter, Jim, and her husband Jim of Andalusia, and Larry Bowden, Julia of Durham, North Carolina, and Beth Welch and Mike of Columbus, Georgia, and Ben, Ben Bowden.
Ben's my age, huh?
Ben, who's a probate judge in I think he's probate judge in Andalusia. But a wonderful family, and of course Lawrence Bowden's one of my best friends. And here you'll see here was that was from also part of the Dickert family, and Chuck Dickert and Frank Dickert, and were pallbearers.
Well,
so they are related. Yeah.
Great families of Brundage and fine people, and I'm so sorry to the family.
I tell you what, and my buddy is one of the best people. Lawrence Bowden is one of the best people I know in this world, and his wife Sarah, and you just hate to see that happen to such.
Well, unlike you, Mike, I didn't know about this. So
yeah, I didn't either. I didn't even know about the wreck, but it was a sad thing to happen. So we got a call coming in. Let's see who it is. It might be somebody telling us that the phone's not working. Let's see here. We'll pull it over. Good morning. The phone not working this morning? It's working now. Thank you. Hello? Okay. That's what's happening. Of course, I drive this new Ram truck, and I love it and everything, but I walked out the door today, and I couldn't understand why my truck wasn't working. And I realized that this was somewhere in my house. And you're on today in L.A. How you doing?
Hi, morning.
Where you coming from this morning, sir?
Great Beach, Florida.
Is it pretty down there?
Here right now.
you talk about your car starter. About 2 years ago, somebody asked me to move their car in somebody's driveway, make room for somebody else, and she gave me that thing that you have, and I went out there and I couldn't figure out how to start it. I still thought the cars had keys, and I had to go back in and say, well, how do you start this car? And so apparently they changed the way you start cars, and you can tell I have a later model car.
Yeah, that's called a fob. That's how I remember it, because I remember it through Fob James.
Well, I knew I've had some fobs for a while, but apparently you can just push a button and it starts the car.
Mine, you push a button to start it, and then also it changes its gears with a twist, of just a button, Dodge and Plymouth did that back in the 60s, had push buttons.
Really? I didn't
know. They were ahead of the time, on push buttons. Well, tell us what's going on, Mike.
Well, I didn't get on until I guess late. I don't know exactly what all y'all talked about. I assume y'all talked about Pike County and...
Well, we're still talking about it. We're still talking about it. Tell us about it.
Well, I didn't get to really see any of the games. I kind of followed it a little bit. I mean, what Coach Jones and her team did at Charles Henderson's historic. This team needs to really be honored. To have a perfect season is incredible.
Yeah. I tell you what they did. They did it with defense. They defend the whole court, and
well, they did with 5 players. She didn't substitute at all.
I know it.
Game I heard. That's pretty incredible.
That is. You're right.
Of course, Madison Academy had a kid that had already
12-2.
Madison Academy came back to the lead 20-18 at the half. But sounds like it was a great game from what I was able to read. And I was able to keep up with the last seconds. My mother-in-law from Mount Brook called me and let me know the score. And I was talking to her.
So she was watching it. She was watching it in Mountain Brook.
Yeah, Charter Cable had it up there in Birmingham, so she was able to watch it.
Could we have had it here? Or do we have it here in Troy?
I'm sure if people had it in Troy, they watched it. I don't know. I don't know if Troy Cable had coverage of it or not.
There was some way to watch it on the internet. My wife couldn't get it on my desktop, but she was able to access it on her little Apple phone.
Danny Lee told me he saw it. He watched it, and
Of course, Bernie led Pike County High School to the state championship. So,
boy, how good is this guy?
A great kid to transfer into that program. I think he came in from Florida. I remember talking to Willie Wright, and he said, "Yeah, we've got a 6'8" kid in from Florida."
Well, I'll tell you what, it worked out very well, didn't it?
Yeah, I'm sure Doug Holland is happy about him coming in, and of course, apparently they had a lot of great players around him as well when it's all said and done. So congratulations to Pike County.
Did you know Charles Henderson beat
state championship ever in basketball?
Yeah. Did you know Charles Henderson beat them twice this year?
Well, I know Pike County beat them one time.
Yeah, they did. They sure did. We did the game, and I said then that was a good Pike County team, and they were much better, I thought, than Charles Henderson. I don't know how they beat them, but they must not have been playing as well at the time. But, Charles Henderson wasn't bad. But that game was played that I did was played in Brundage, and they pretty much dominated the game. And the Charles Henderson girls, I think, won 86-15 or something like that. And
that's the thing about the girls is they won most games in incredible blowouts. So you wondered when they got up against good competition, how would they do? Well, they beat Ramsey, which had put them out last year by 9. And then Madison Academy, I think, was 31-4. And they played great competition up there in North Alabama.
Yeah, and another thing, too, about Madison County, they could get anybody they wanted in town, because they're a private school.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's a pretty big benefit there,
Sure is.
The shocker of all shockers is Mountain Brook got beat by Robert E. Lee by 2 points.
Oh, boy, tell me about it. How did that happen?
I don't know. I told my mother-in-law, she watched the whole game. She said Mountain Brook just couldn't shoot. So apparently Lee was able to defend against the 3 and found enough points to win the game.
They won 40-38, low-scoring game.
40-38. So they slowed it down on them evidently, didn't they?
You don't have a shot clock in high school basketball, which I think is crazy. I mean, it seems like 6A or 7A would definitely have a shot clock. But
you would think so.
You can hold on the ball as long as you want to.
Something I've noticed this weekend, and I've noticed that is very unique, is there's now a clock for pitchers in baseball.
Oh.
College pitchers. Have you seen that, Mike?
Yeah, I heard about that.
How's it work?
Well, it's just trying to speed up the game.
Yeah.
But so what happens if you go too long between pitches? What do they do?
I don't know.
I don't know. It just gives you a warning.
Yeah.
But there has to be some penalty at some point to give teeth to it.
Yeah.
I followed all those Troy games. I was amazed when I turned it on and was watching Troy in the league going into the 7th. And then Troy ends up getting beat 3-2, and then up 7-1 on Saturday, and they lose 10-7. And then yesterday, I think it was 4-1 late. The guy hit a 3-run homer. They got beat 7-1. But just like I was telling you yesterday, Dad, it just comes down to pitching. The great college teams all have really top-notch pitching, and it's not their Friday starter. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and their bullpens are good. I mean, Florida had a guy come in on Friday night throwing 95 miles an hour.
Yeah, I know.
Troy just doesn't have guys like that.
Well, it's like I told your dad off air, though. I mean, 2 near misses.
I tell you what, our starter on Friday, though, he had the game under control, and
It's 2-0.
no question.
He gave up about 8 hits, didn't he?
I I don't think he gave up that many. I don't believe.
I read where Troy had 3 errors in that first game. I wonder if that.
Troy out-hit them, I think, 3 out of 4 games. Troy out-hit them. I know they out-hit them on Saturday.
Mosley, Mosley hit a grand slam on Saturday against them.
And then the other night when they lost, Troy lost, I want to say 7-1. Was that? Yeah, that was.
They were leading 7-1. They lost 10-7.
Yeah. But also on Saturday, Troy was leading 4-1, and then the guy hit a grand slam home run over that yesterday.
Well, the bottom line is they had a chance to.
That's right.
They had a chance to beat the number 1 team in college baseball 2 out of 3. Didn't quite do it, but they were this close to. What would have happened if Troy could have beat them 2 out of 3? They would have surged up. They would not only been ranked, they would have surged up pretty high in the rankings. I bet.
Sure would, no question about it. They did play well, but they did throw the ball away a bunch too.
Yeah, the biggest thing with Troy is if they could have just got 1 win, that would have been huge. When NCAA tournament time comes around, to have a win over number 1.
That's right.
That might come back to haunt them, unfortunately.
Troy had 13 hits on Saturday to 12 for Florida. Florida came back from trailing Troy 7-1, and looks like Troy was in business. But then you start throwing the ball away. They had a 3-run throwing error. That's pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
A ball went. The second baseman threw it over everybody's head, and it hit the wall and rolled, and 3 runs came in on a throwing error.
Kind of like the.
Yeah, you're right. Thomas pitched 6 innings, only gave up 5 hits, 6 strikeouts. Then Johnson came in relief, got the loss.
The crooked leg. He came in with that crooked leg, and he didn't have any chance.
He didn't even pitch an inning. He got 3 hits.
Now, he literally does not have a crooked leg, but he pitches with a in a crooked looking. That's the way he pitches.
And then Fultz came in, gave up 2 hits, and then Snell came in, the freshman. And pitched in, struck out the guy. He's pretty impressive.
Yeah, he's pretty good. They say he's pretty good. He throws hard, and I think we're going to be all right, though. That second pitcher was not overpowering, but he did a great job of throwing the way he wanted to throw it. What do you think about him?
Yeah, he pitched pretty good. He's on Ortiz.
Yeah, Ortiz. So you got those two good starters there.
That's all you need.
Florida's undefeated in baseball, and another surprise is Alabama's undefeated in baseball.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Alabama's 11-0.
But I will tell you this, too. Troy's softball team beat South Carolina. South Carolina was ranked 15th in the nation, man.
Hey, all right.
Yeah, of course, you always got to bounce back and play UAB tomorrow night in Birmingham. So that's.
Yeah, I wish I could see that game. Of course,
it's going to be rained out. It looks like.
We got a basketball game also here on Tuesday as the basketball team plays their last game. It'll be their last game.
Yeah, how bad do you think Scott Cross, who played at UT Arlington, was the head coach there for about, 13, 14 years?
Yeah.
Won 20 games, I think 5 or 6 times. Of course, got fired, lost his job. And how bad do you think he wants to beat UT Arlington tomorrow night?
You know, he played at UT Arlington, too. Guess who he played for? Eddie McCarter.
I did not know that.
That's right. Played for Eddie McCarter.
Oh, one of my favorite guys. He was my football coach for the quarterbacks on our state championship football team, and had some great basketball teams at Charles Henderson.
Oh, yeah, no question about it. Want to say good morning to my good friend Garnet this morning, Mike, at Jim Skinner Honda, located in
Rigsby?
Yeah, Garnet Rigsby, and of course, I've known Garnet for years and years. You have too, and a good friend of ours, and he's been in the car business a long time, and He's with the manager and head guy at Jim Skinner Honda right here in Dothan, Alabama. So
Troy loses to South Alabama basketball 78-63, and I think Troy now is 9-21. Tell you what, it's going to take a long time to rebuild this basketball program, unfortunately.
He's getting rid of some players that he didn't recruit, and hopefully that. But I don't know if that'll allow him to have more scholarships. How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, if they leave the program, I mean, that scholarship's open. Yeah.
So he would try his best to run some folks off if he could, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, if he wants to bring in guys he thinks are going to do things the right way and buy into what he preaches.
I still think if they had a big 6'6", 230-pounder or 6'7", 6'8", 220-pounder,
it'd help them.
It would help them because they don't have any height or size at all.
Turn the basketball program around at Troy. I was talking to a guy the other day on the phone about this. You got to win at home. Troy is one of the worst home teams in basketball over the last 7 years that I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
I mean, they cannot win consistently at home.
And then you take, when Maestri and them were here, he and Felix, they did win at home a lot. Then, they like I said, nobody wanted to come to Troy to play them because they were so good at home.
Yeah, the girls won again at South Alabama, so they're number one in the Sun Belt Conference. They've got a chance to win the regular season. They've won the most games ever. They're 23-4, 14-2 in conference. So they continue to play great basketball.
And they're playing for a high seed in the women's tournament. Don't you think they're probably already in, or maybe not?
I don't know. Sun Belt. I don't know how many at-large bids you get, but they definitely will have to be in the NIT if you win the regular season tournament.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, she's done a super job since she's been here, and we're excited about it. Hey, boy, it would be awfully nice of Troy Cable to send me down there to cover that game in New Orleans. That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
She's only got one, let's see, what they got? 2 more games left. They got to go 2 tough games, so they got to go on the road to Little Rock and Arkansas State to finish off the season.
And they've got a great player from Charles Henderson that's joining the program next year.
Yes, sir, the Moore kid.
Samira Moore.
Yeah.
She scored 14 points, had 7 rebounds and 4 blocked shots against Madison Academy. She held her own with that Arkansas signee.
Yeah, no question about it.
Coach Jones mentioned after the game this would be a perfect time to retire, the season and winning a state championship. And I tell you what, she's probably going to want to retire after making that drive to Nashville, about 15 times a year.
Well, that might be why she'll probably move up there if she retires, whatever. Of course, we're having fun today, brought to you by our good friends at Goldfingers. Man, let me tell you, everything they have is good. I had a hamburger there the other day. It was the best hamburger I've had in a long time, and the French fries are so crisp they pop in your mouth. I love that.
Well, you've been bragging about them since I've been on the show, and I took the kids finally the other night, and we had a great time. I really like the ambiance and the decorations there. My kids.
Wait a minute. You got me. What's an ambiance?
The mood or the scene or the aesthetic.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've heard a word I have never heard in my entire life.
You ever heard the word ambiance?
No, wait a minute. And it came from Bill Rice Jr. on this show. Mike, what's the date?
I almost said decor.
2nd of March.
2nd of March. On the 2nd of March, I've got a word there, ambiance. I've never used it, never heard it.
Well, they've got neat posters on the wall, and they serve their food for you.
Hey, guys, I love your ambiance. I love your ambiance. Why don't he say, I love your art, or I love the way this place looks, or
hey, when a word
your
comes...
aesthetics, your aesthetics are neat.
I'm a writer, but sometimes I have to search a long time for the right word. That's why you become a writer, because you can. Eventually, the right word will come to you.
Let me ask this: did you do that on purpose, or were you bragging?
I didn't know that ambiance was a 25-cent word. I thought it was I thought it was a pretty prosaic
word. I want to know if there's anybody out there that's never heard the word ambiance. Ambiance, you know. I never have.
Well, the kids like the ambiance at Goldfinger's, and they serve their food in little cardboard 57 Chevy cars. Jack really loves.
They love that, don't they?
So we'll be going, and it's a little nicer in there than the typical fast food restaurant, but it's not, a Ruby Tuesdays or a sit-down restaurant decor. It's in between.
Yeah. I was at Public Pleasure.
Alabama's hired a new strength coach, so Scott Cochran's replacement is Dave, Balu?
Yeah, I like him. I watched the interview he did.
From Indiana. He's the strength and conditioning guy at Indiana, and former player there, was at Notre Dame for, I think, 1 year, and then was a high school strength coach, but apparently this guy is supposed to be one of the up-and-coming strength coaches out there, so...
I can add something to that, Michael. I watched the video of him doing an interview before Indiana started their season last year. One thing, his biceps are about the biggest biceps I've ever seen of any man in my life. So he practices what he preaches.
Yeah.
He's real into the science of strength and conditioning. He says his quote was, anybody can go in the weight room and tire out the players and yell at them. He says the thing for him is to make sure that you identify the areas that the players can get stronger and faster in, and then target or tailor drills and exercises that will improve those areas. And I can say that I watched Indiana last year and was surprised by how competitive they were. They had a really good year for them.
What's this guy going to do with the talent he's going to see in Tuscaloosa? He's going to see guys he's never seen in his life in a weight room.
Well, I don't want to badmouth Coach Cochran, who had all kind of great intangibles, but
he was a rah-rah guy.
I've looked at Alabama's weightlifting players' records at the combine and the condition of the team in some games in the fourth quarter, and I wouldn't be surprised if this guy can improve Alabama's strength and conditioning. Now, as far as relating to the players, motivating players, being somebody that the players can confide in, being a great recruiter asset, I don't know if he'll have all those things that Cochran had, but just...
Yeah, can you say, yeah?
Yeah, that's right. And then he had everybody, all the red shirts and the injured players, all of them were doing the rah-rahs.
He also was good about grabbing and saving off the field, so they wouldn't get penalties on the sideline.
Yeah. Well, he was making, $400,000 at Alabama. What is he going to make at Georgia?
No, he's making...
Cochran was making $600,000 at Alabama.
Oh, gosh. Well, how much they going to pay him in Georgia? $1 million?
At least $700,000, I would think.
Are you serious? Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Hensley has done it again, the catch.
Yeah.
Have you seen the catch?
No,
well, they've done it in football for several years now, and this magazine, it's a magazine that's got all your baseball teams and your softball teams, and it's got some real good footage right here. I watched Charles Henderson play a pretty good team from Mobile, Mike. I don't know how they came out. I left. It was 3-3.
Yeah, I saw Ben Reeves, the mayor's son, hit a 2-run homer.
He sure did.
I called his uncle and was telling him about it.
Yeah, did Charles Henderson beat them?
I don't know. I never saw the final.
You know who they played, don't you?
And they played St. Paul's. Who they play?
No, they played Bedford's team.
They played Spanish Fort.
Spanish Fort. And it was tied at 3 whenever I left. That's
what a great memory for Jason and Ellie to see one of their sons hit one out of Riddle Pace Field.
I know it. No question about it.
That's impressive.
And also it talks a lot about Dan Smith has several articles. Dan still loves to do photography work and do sports writing.
He's great at both of them.
And he's got a real good article on Charles Henderson's softball team, and this young lady right here Her name is Ashlyn Shaver. Let's take a picture of her right there. And there's an article right by her on the, and then it's, of course, the front page has girls from all over the area.
I was trying to think if I'd ever taken an at-bat in Riddle Pace Field, and then I was thinking to myself, yeah, you know, I went to the baseball camps every year.
Yeah, that's right.
I did take a few swings in Riddle Pace Field.
I never did.
Well,
I never did.
It tells, you know, of course, it's got a, you know, it tells who all the coaches are, and you know, the Charles Simpson's new coach.
We had him on the show about a month or two ago.
And he's got them playing well, I think.
Have you seen Little Art's new baseball uniforms? The old Philadelphia
That's
Phillies
right.
uniform.
You're exactly right. I know you, all in all, you picked that up. Here's the Goshen Eagles.
I'm looking for Mike Smith out there.
Yeah, you're right. Here's the Goshen Eagles, and they got a good-looking uniform, and their team, of course, that's the Goshen Eagles, and that's the other team is Charles Henderson. But
I mean, will anybody even be able to beat Pike LaBarge this year? They got the top shortstop in for the state. They got two great Charles Henderson players that came over, at least, maybe three.
They're not great, but they're good.
One of them's a pretty good pitcher.
Yeah, one of them's a pitcher, yeah.
I mean, they're going to be hard to even, I mean, they might go undefeated.
They might. You're exactly right. But you know how baseball is. You know, that's funny thing. Robbie Kinsall is the coach at Goshen. That's a good-looking Goshen team, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And you know, of course, the kid they've got is that kid they claim is the fastest kid in Alabama, Brian Galloway.
It's still hard for me to believe when Coach Snyder was on, and you know, he said the combine ran a 4.27.
I know, that's pretty.
This quarterback ran a 4.3. Now, Coach Snyder is a man of character and a guy that I think you could believe in.
Yeah.
But for him to claim a 4.3 out of a high school kid is one of the more amazing conversations we've ever had on the show.
Yeah, I agree with you.
That's faster than
Let me tell you this. He is a dear friend of mine, but I would go to my grave saying that this kid didn't run 4.3.
Get in the car and drive out there to
Hey, we're talking about this kid's faster than Ronaldo St. Pennington.
You know, all coaches, all through my life, I've heard that, though, about 40 times, you know. Every high school seems to have somebody that runs a 4.4. Well, in reality,
if he ran 4.5, I would say that was just awesome.
I just watched a lot of the combine, and there's very few defensive backs, wide receivers, and running backs that can get under a 4.5.
I mean, that's faster than any guy at Troy University's football team practicing football today. I guarantee you that, if he runs a 4.3.
Oh, no question. This is Shay Shepard, one of Goshen's top players, and a good article on her by Jacob Holmes, looking at some other kids.
You're going to head to Birmingham, don't you, man?
But what time is it now?
7:44.
Is that it right there? I've got to go. We're going to take a short break. I'll be back in the morning right here on our show.
Me and you, Michael.
Continue the show.
Yes, sir. We'll have a lot of fun. You better come up with something.
You better watch it.
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa Know-How. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa Know-How team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
Okay. Troy's been trying to do that in other states, and they haven't been able to do it. They got me out of here. Mama, jumping up, down, I'm sure. See you later, buddy. Thank you.
Big discounts, big selection, and really big deals. It's the big pre-owned sale. Only at Premier Chrysler Dodge Jeep brand. Pre-owned vehicles start at $29.95. Over 50 vehicles under $15,000. $29 down, and you can drive today or take advantage of payments starting at $99 a month. That's $29 down, and payments starting as low as $99. From Montgomery to Dothan, the best pre-owned deal are at Premier Chrysler Dodge Jeep brand or online at PremierChrysler.com. Nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
At the Piggly Wiggly, we proudly support our local farmers and bring you the best they have to offer, all at cost plus 10%. When you shop local, you reinvest in your community. Remember, buy local, shop local. Piggly Wiggly, local since forever.
Okay, we're back home today in L.A. Mike Amos has left to go to a doctor's appointment in Birmingham, so his son, Mike Amos, and myself will try to fill the next 45 or so minutes. Mike, you just mentioned off the air that big events coming up tomorrow, the primary election, which is a part of Super Tuesday. So on the ballot, we're going to have the presidential candidates in the Democratic field, and of more interest probably to most people watching, very competitive congressional race to replace Martha Roby, who's stepping down, and then a race for U.S. Senate, and that includes former Senator Jeff Sessions, former Auburn coach Tommy Tuberville, former Supreme Court Judge Roy Moore, among others.
Yeah, you got Bradley Byrne out of Mobile. Of course, it's going to be interesting to see. I guess everybody thinks Tuberville and Sessions will be in a runoff right now, is what I've been hearing.
That's what I've been hearing. You can tell who they think could be in the runoff by the negative commercial spots that are running and who they're attacking. So,
you got to feel for Byrne. If Sessions doesn't get back in the race, it's probably Byrne and Tuberville going to a runoff.
That's right.
Whoever wins on the Republican side, let's be honest, we are in the state of Alabama, and Jones won last time because basically the hate that everybody or disgusted everybody was with Roy Moore at the time. So I don't think there's any chance Jones wins the election.
I don't either. When he won, I said, I thought, enjoy your 2.5 years as a senator.
I mean, Jones, has done a lot of great things in the courtroom, and is a guy that I think that, people like, but I mean, I just don't think there's any way possible that I see. If Tuberville comes in here and gets in a runoff and beats Sessions, I mean, that'll go down in Alabama politics as one of the biggest upsets of all time, I would say.
I think so. And then, like you said, if Sessions hadn't decided to get back in the race, Tuberville would have been the favorite to win, probably. He's certainly been working mighty hard. I noticed that Sessions is running negative ads against Tuberville. And one of them, you might know something about this, Michael. One of them says, I don't know if it's true, that Tommy Tuberville actually lives or lived in Florida and actually voted in Florida the last election. You know anything about that?
Yeah, I mean, I see him on a regular basis, right, in Creighton, where I live, at AJ's bar and grill down the street, and then I've seen him other places down here. I mean, he does commercials down in Florida. I mean, I think he definitely, lives most of the year down here, and then I guess a little bit of the year in Auburn, of course, where he was the former coach, but yeah, I'm not surprised by that. I was telling my wife, it's pretty unbelievable. We had a Jeff Sessions campaign little flyer show up in our mailbox in Grayton Beach, Florida. How in the world does that happen?
Yeah, that's a good question. How does that happen?
I guess maybe there's enough residents that have, Alabama residents have places in Florida. Maybe they campaigns in North Florida Panhandle as well.
Well, that's probably correct. It's all kind of oddities. Everybody's running to seems to.
On the show, y'all only had. I guess y'all only had Troy King on and Barry Moore on for the.
In the congressional race, 2nd District congressional race.
Y'all never had Coleman on out of Dothan, did you?
Haven't had him on yet. Well, I guess it's too late, so we won't have him on.
But then there's a lot of controversy with him as far as government contracts, and I know there was a picture of him on the cover of a magazine where he's wearing an Army uniform, and apparently had no military service in the past. And I guess in campaigns there's just all kinds of stuff that people will catch, and trying to do negative campaigning against. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Sure will. Let's see. We got another call. Let's see if I can figure out how to do it. If I lose you, call back. Okay, Mike?
Okay.
Let's see. I go to hold. Well, you there, Michael?
Yeah, you got me.
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep going on with the show. I don't want to kill a lot of time trying to work the phone system. I apologize about that. One thing I was going to say though is Sessions, as everybody remembers, he was kind of thrown under the proverbial bus by Donald Trump.
Yeah, well, he recused himself for the Russian debate.
And Trump did not like that, and I've never seen a president say as many bad things about one of his key appointees as he did Jeff Sessions. So eventually, Sessions just stepped down. But what surprises me now is he's running commercials, giving all these platitudes to Donald Trump and running on the coattails of Donald Trump.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what's going to happen there. Will Trump endorse whoever wins this runoff? Would he endorse Tuberville, or would he endorse Sessions, or would he just stay out of it, period?
I think he will, from what I've read. He certainly doesn't want a Democrat and Doug Jones to come back. But we'll know tomorrow. I'll be interested.
When's the actual election? I know tomorrow they'll determine, the Republican candidate or the runoff, but when's the actual, when will Jones be in the actual, when will that come into play, the Democrat against the Republican?
I guess the general election is in November. When the
we're a long ways away then.
Yeah, you got time. There'll be a runoff. There'll be a runoff as well. All right, we got another call. It must be important. I'm going to try again. Let me read I press hold, then line 1, then line 2. Hello, you're on Today in L.A.
Hey, Bill, it's Will Matthews. How you doing?
Hey, Will, I'm trying to figure out the phone system, so if I cut you off, call back or maybe call back tomorrow. Let me see if I can get, let's see. All right, y'all both there?
Yeah, I'm here.
I did it. Miracle.
Yeah, you got Bill Rice Jr., and then you got Michael Amos from Great Beach, and you got the great Will Matthews calling in from, Ozark, yeah, Will, or you in Dothan?
I'm between Dothan and Ozark.
Well, you called it a perfect time, Will, because we just segued into talking about tomorrow's election. Can you handicap it for us or give us your thoughts about especially the Senate race and our congressional race, and then go ahead and tell us what you think will happen in the Democratic presidential primary?
Well, the Senate race, I think, will be a runoff between Coach and Sessions. The congressional race, I think Jim Coleman will be in the runoff, and it's a dead heat between Barrymore, Troy King, and Jessica Wilson. Those three, I don't know, I couldn't tell you which one of them's going to get in there with you.
Okay. What about the presidential? You think is Biden going to carry Alabama big like he did South Carolina?
It depends on the black vote. If the black vote's heavy, I think Biden will win it. If not, I think Bernie will win it.
I saw where Mayor Pete has dropped out of the race. Who did?
And Bill, after tomorrow, Kyle Watt will be out, and then Klobuchar will be out too. Both of them will be out after tomorrow.
So really,
It'll be a three-person race in the Democrats after tomorrow.
So who's left? Would it be Warren? Is Warren the other person left?
She'll be out tomorrow.
Oh, she'll be out tomorrow. Okay, so who would be left? Bloomberg?
Klobuchar will be out tomorrow.
Bloomberg, Biden, and Sanders?
Sanders. That'll be the three left, and that'll be all they'll be.
the story I read this.
Where is Sanders getting his money from?
A lot of little people, Michael. I mean, he's gotten millions of donations for $10 and stuff like that.
Yeah, he's kind of like Ron Paul, just kind of grassroots, small.
He's got, and
Yeah.
I mean, how much money do you think Bloomberg's willing to spend to try to be president? You think he's going to spend over $1 billion?
Yeah, he said on CNN this morning he was going to spend $1 billion.
Wow, that's unbelievable.
Well, you know who appreciates him is the companies that own TV stations. You know, that's all we see nonstop now is the TV spots.
He's got paid staff making millions of dollars.
I mean, living in Florida, I see Bloomberg commercials literally like every other commercial, it seems like.
In Alabama.
In Alabama.
He's really putting it on heavy.
Oh, I think he's going to be embarrassed. I mean, despite spending $1 billion. But what do I know?
Isn't he threatening bringing Hillary in to be his vice president?
That was the rumor. Boy, wouldn't that be something?
Well, that would be. I mean, could Hillary really live that down? She would have lost, you know, the presidency to Trump, and then she would lose her vice presidency to Trump as well. I don't know if she could do that to herself.
Yeah.
She's not going to give up. I mean, this has been her little plan, dream for decades, I think.
Now, this is what's bizarre about the Democratic side of it. After tomorrow, you'll have Biden, he's 77. Bernie, he's 78. Bloomberg, he's 78. The three left are 77 older running for president. That's unheard of.
And Donald Trump is 73, right?
He's 73, that's right.
Sessions is how old?
He's 72, I think.
It's not a young man's game.
Well, when is Tommy Tuberville, like early 60s?
He's 64, about to be 65.
Hey, Michael, did you see my Facebook post? ESPN did a big story on Tommy Tuberville's race and how he's trying to win over Alabama fans after being the Auburn coach that stomped Alabama so many years in a row. And the story actually quoted my brother Rush. They were telling the story of Tuberville campaigning at the Alabama-LSU game, and he must have stumbled into my brother Rush, who was at the game. And they were talking about his fear the thumb quote. And Rush's quote was, "Coach, we're just glad that you ran out of fingers," or something like that. But the quote, instead of calling my brother Rush Rice, R-U-S-H, called him R-U-S-S, Rush Rice. So Rush gets quoted in ESPN magazine, but they get his name wrong. But that was an interesting story, because that is, don't you think, Will, that's the one obstacle he has is trying to win over a fair amount of Alabama fans who are the majority of the state.
And if you'll think about it, he did Alabama a favor because we got rid of Shula. Shula was horrible.
That's right.
Well, Tuberville's originally from Camden, Arkansas. Yeah, he's 65 years old. And apparently, I didn't realize this, Bill was saying that, Will, that Sessions is claiming that most of his life, you know, these days is down in Florida. Of course, I see him in Grayton, where I live, a pretty good bit. I mean, I guess his home is still in Auburn, though. Is that correct?
Yeah, he's got a home in Auburn. He's got a house at the lake, and then he's got a condo down the beach somewhere.
Yeah, he's like a lot of people. He's just from Alabama that spends a lot of, like Mike Amos and Carol Amos spend a lot of time at the beach.
Yeah, more like Carol Amos. Of course, Tuberville's overall record is pretty impressive. 159 and 99 as a head coach in college football. So had a pretty good career as a head coach.
Michael, he's had a winning record in every school he's been in.
Could have.
Of course, I guess he got his start with the legendary Miami teams down there with Jimmy Johnson, didn't he?
Yep, he was defensive coordinator down there in Miami. And then he went to Texas A&M. A lot of people don't know this. R.C. Slocum was a hell of a coach at Texas A&M.
Mm-hmm.
And they were a contender. And I'm thinking Jackie Sherrill might have been on Jackson's staff out there at some point.
That makes sense.
And then he went somewhere in Arkansas, maybe Arkansas State, I can't remember. And then he went from there to Ole Miss. And, of course, he left Ole Miss. He was doing great at Ole Miss. And he left Ole Miss in the middle of the night.
So what's Roby going to do now? Will she against Ivy one day?
Ivy's not running again. So in 2 years, the governorship will be wide open in Alabama. She might do that.
She said she wanted to spend some time with her kids who were young. And
she hadn't done it for 10 years. So.
I knew her when she was on the city council in Montgomery. I'll tell you my Martha Roba story. I can't say anything bad about her. Here's why. When I closed the Troy Citizen, I needed a job, and so I went up to Montgomery. I found a job selling radio commercials for Cumulus Radio, which is sports radio, 740, WLWI, Mix 103, 7 stations then. And it's hard when you crack into a radio sales to get the big, good accounts. You know, if somebody else already has all the car dealerships and so forth. Well, I asked my brother who lived in Montgomery, I said, well, it was campaign season, and I said, well, I'm going to get my share of these political candidates. And I called Rush, and I said, well, which one of these candidates running for city council or any office do you have an in with or know? And he said, well, you know, Martha Roby used to babysit Chapman when she was littler. That's my niece. He said, she knows us and likes us. So he said, call her. So I called her and introduced myself and said, now, when you run, I hope you will run some spots with me. And she said, oh, yeah, of course, I'd be happy to. That was the extent of my sales call, about 1 minute. Skip forward three or 4 weeks. I'm sitting at my computer, and I get an email from the big ad agency in Montgomery. It is an ad order for Martha Roby radio commercials on all 7 of our stations, and the amount of the radio commercials was $26,000. Wow! So I got a commission of 10% on that ad buy, and so I was off and running as a radio salesperson thanks to Martha Roby. But that also tells you how much money she has if she could spend that much money on radio commercials for a city council spot in Montgomery.
So Super Tuesday states is Alabama, Arkansas, Colorado with caucuses, Georgia, Massachusetts, Minnesota with caucuses, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, Vermont, and Virginia.
I think there's 14 states.
Yeah. So you would have to think Sanders would win probably Massachusetts. I don't know. I mean, Biden, I guess, will win more of the southern states. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess.
I think Bernie. You know, if Elizabeth Warren loses Massachusetts, her own state, that's a sad commentary for her.
That'd be like Al Gore losing Tennessee, which he did.
That's right. That's right. If Al Gore had won Tennessee, he'd have been president for 8 years.
Well, Bush a few years ago against Trump lost Florida, so did Rubio.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I would think that Biden will win all the southern states where the African-American vote is key. You know, he's got the de facto endorsement of President Obama. But, you know, these neutral heartland states, it looks like to me he's going to lose to Sanders in all of those states. Looks like to me, if I was a betting man, and y'all know that I probably am, I'd say it looks like Sanders versus Trump.
Well, we got to see what Bloomberg does. You know, he spent all this money. And if Bloomberg, now Democrats are different than Republicans, the way they do their delegates. Democrats are, say, for example, Bill, you're in Alabama. And say Biden gets 50% of the vote, and Sanders gets 25% of the vote, and everybody, whatever. Biden would get half the delegates, and Sanders would get a quarter of the delegates, and the others get a quarter.
Yeah.
If it's a Republican state, it's winner take all.
Yep.
Whoever wins the state gets all of them.
I got you.
And that's why Trump had it locked up before he ever went to Cleveland 4 years ago.
So if Biden can just get 25, 30, 35% of the delegates in the states he doesn't win, they'll still help him.
Oh, yeah, he'll still be in the running because, listen, if one person doesn't have half the delegates when they get to Milwaukee, then the second ballot, it's going to be a brokered convention, and they bring in all these super
Okay, and then that's another. Some people are even hypothesizing that Hillary still thinks that if it's a brokered convention, that she can come in and be the one that they go with.
Well, that would be
So when does everybody need to vote on you? You got what are you? You're delegate tomorrow. Okay. So Will Matthews, Troy Cable will today in LA, especially Mike Amos and Mike Amos are endorsing Will Matthews. So everybody go out there and vote for Will.
I'm enthusiastically endorsing. Will, I'll do a commercial spot for you if you want a testimonial. If you want me to.
I would love that. Now, I will tell you something funny. This thing does not pay a nickel. In fact, it'll cost me $3,000 to go over there if I get elected again. I've been to the last two. I got elected in 12 and 16 statewide. All right, tomorrow I'm running statewide again. I've got two people running against me. One of the people running against me spent $38,000 on a mail-out. All
My
over
goodness.
the state. I mean, it's crazy.
Why would they do that? Why would he do that, Will?
They got more money than they got sense, I guess. But, you know.
Spend $38,000 for the right to spend $3,000 to go to a convention and.
Where is the convention?
Charlotte.
Oh, good.
Charlotte. Okay.
And there's
So as far
really nice golf courses there.
as far as
Really nice golf courses there, so that's what I'm thinking about.
so when you vote tomorrow, what do people need to be looking for? What area is this?
I'm in place number 16.
16.
I've
Okay.
got them all listed. 16's my number. 16.
All right, everybody, we hope that you'll vote for Will Matthews as a delegate to the Republican convention for President Trump.
But those of us who've never been to a convention, I mean, what all takes place there? How many days is that?
Well, now last year I was on the rules committee, and I was in Cleveland probably 12 days.
Ooh.
But normally you're there Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and leave Friday. But
So did you go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame at least in Cleveland?
Yes. They had a party there, Michael, on Sunday. And there was a nice party with food and all that. And then they had a rock concert outside of it. And they had three groups. They had Three Dog Night played. They had Blake Shelton played. And somebody else. There were three big-time acts that played.
Blake Shelton played at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Isn't he a country guy?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I want.
His girlfriend's Gwen Stefani, so she's definitely a rock and roller.
She's a pop.
Absolutely.
His first girlfriend was a country artist. My wife tells me.
Yeah, Miranda Lambert.
Miranda Lambert. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can tell I'm real up on me.
So as far as Charlotte, I guess that's, do they rotate different cities every year? How does that work?
They do, Michael. In fact, 12 they had it in Tampa, and then 16 they had it in Cleveland. This year they got it in North Carolina.
They probably put it in states that they think might benefit the candidate in the general election.
And last time Trump just barely won North Carolina, barely. And I think that might have something to do with why it's there.
So Trump wins again, wins re-election. I mean, who is the next big thing in the Republican Party? I would have to think Nikki Haley is got to be right up there.
I think, Nikki Haley, I love her.
Yeah, she's real impressive if you ever have heard her speak. She definitely, I think, has got a really good chance to be the first female president of all time, I would say.
I think you're right.
She was the governor of South Carolina.
South Carolina, right.
She became the governor after the previous governor went AWOL, visiting his mistress, I think. Isn't that the state? And
We went down somewhere in like Brazil or somewhere.
yeah, they didn't know where he was. He was going to see his girlfriend. And then they found, the press got hold of the story, and I think he resigned. But then he made a comeback and ran for Congress years later, and I think he's a congressman right now.
I don't know. His name was Sanford.
I was watching the golf tournament yesterday. That bear trap, those last three holes, was pretty tough golf. It seems like none of the big names wanted to play in that tournament, I mean, there was really, the leaderboard was a bunch of guys. I mean, Fleetwood's a good player from England. Of course, he's never won on the PGA Tour. You had Lee Westwood. You had, you know, a few names you recognize. Schwartzel was up there at one time. But, I mean, why do none of the big-name players want to play that course? Is it just that tough?
It is that tough, but the thing is, Michael, the wind blows, and you know, it's just, that's why you saw the Europeans do well, because the wind was blowing. That's why the winning score was, what, 600, 500?
Yeah, I mean, both guys on 18, Fleetwood and Steele, hit it in the water.
Right.
You know, I mean, Fleetwood, all he has to do is get up and down on a par 5, or, I mean, just birdie on a par 5, and shoot, I think he was only 230 yards away on the second shot, went to the water. The rest is history.
He just blocked it straight into the lake. And the other guy did the same thing before him.
Well,
that's gonna be tough for Nicholas. You know, that's his tournament, and you got all these great players that live in Florida, and nobody tried to play in it. So maybe Fowler and Koepka. That's about it.
well,
Most of them will play in Arnie's tournament next week.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They'll play Bay Hill.
And then you got the TBCs coming up at some point.
Sawgrass, yeah.
I like the way the PGA has adjusted their tour. They got a big tournament every month, starting with the TPC in March, then the Masters in April. May, I guess, is now the PGA. June, maybe the U.S. Open, and in July is the British Open. And then even after that, they've got the FedEx end of the year tournament. So they've spaced it out perfectly. So golf is always going to be on the sports pages.
Of course, if anybody knows Will, listen to the show for so many years, you know, how many straight Masters have you been to, Will?
52, but it's going in this year, I think.
So the Dauphin Eagle wrote an article about you. I know I read that one day. I mean, I guess that all started with your relationship with Bobby Jones at Vandy.
Well, actually, no. I met him in Nashville when I was playing golf at Vandy. He was, actually, I met him. He was going to school at Vandy when I was at Vandy, and I'd never met him.
He was going to school?
Yeah, he was going to school at Vandy.
How old was he?
This is the son.
Oh, his son. Okay.
Grandson.
Okay.
Oh, grandson, yeah.
Robert T. Jones before.
Okay.
Anyway, I was out on the practice tee hitting balls, and this guy was out there hitting balls. And I was watching him hit balls, and I'll just be frank with you, he was horrible. And I walked over there and started helping him out a little bit. And he started hitting it better. And I met him. He said, I said, well, you know, what's your name? He said, Bob Jones. I said, just joking. I said, you ain't kin to Bobby Jones. He said, well, he was my grandfather. So that was kind of interesting.
And then he probably said, I need to be friends with this guy.
Well, and we became friends. But I told him, I said, I've been to the Masters 7 or 8 years in a row at that point. I've been going since I was 11 years old. And
what was your connection back then? Your dad had a connection?
My dad had tickets.
Oh, awesome.
And then once you get tickets, you can keep renewing them, right?
You get them for life.
Okay.
Only problem is my dad died in 2002. Well, I figured that the Masters will never know that I'm not my daddy, because my name is William B. Matthews, and his name was William B. Matthews. I was junior. So I kept getting tickets.
Nope.
To my mother's house, and she had passed away, and they sent them right back to the Masters, and I got the nastiest letter from those people.
You did?
Really? Wow.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they sent me a nasty letter. I should have told them my dad had died and all this, you know. So, but then after that, Bob had always got me tickets. But now they won't let him transfer his tickets to anybody.
A lot of people have to do the lottery. That's the way that people can go to the Masters. It's one of the toughest tickets in the world to get a Masters
Michael,
ticket.
I put 17 entries into the lottery last year, got 0.
Yeah, for people out there, how do you go about even applying for the lottery? How does that even work? Where do you go?
You go on masters.org and it'll tell you what to do. So what you do is send them.
When is that offer? As soon as the Masters is over, they offer it, or when does that start?
As soon as it's over, it's open for like a month. You can apply.
Now, can you get a ticket to a practice round, or is that easy?
Yes.
I could get a ticket to a practice round if I wanted.
If you get the lottery, if you win the lottery, but hell, this is
you got to pay big money just to get a practice round ticket.
You got to be in the lottery just to get a practice round, or can anybody get one?
You can get one, but you have to pay a scalper $2,000 or $3,000 to go to the tournament.
Even if you went on Wednesday, especially with par 3, I mean that's a really, really tough ticket.
It is. Last year I paid $1,600 last year for me and my daughter to go to a Tuesday practice round, which is ridiculous.
You can get
$100 a piece.
It's
a lot of people are in golf are talking about, some of these guys that just kind of disappeared, and the number one guy everybody's talking about is Jordan Spieth. I mean, is Spieth a guy that, was one of the best golfers in the world, won 3 or 4 majors, and we're never going to hear from again, or do you think he'll be back?
He's won 4 majors. And you know what? I think he's gone. I think he's done. He's lost everything. Normally a golfer may lose his putting stroke or something. He's lost everything. He can't really drive in the fairway. He can't putt. I mean, it's terrible. I don't know. I think it's mental.
Yeah. That happens to a lot of golfers. That's the thing about golf. I mean, in other sports, you can sign a long-term contract, and if you're really good, you can expect to make a living 10 to 15 years in it. But in golf, you can lose your game at any time, buddy.
David Duval is a perfect example.
That's very similar.
And he can't break night.
Hey, I see it. Sometimes he still gets exemptions and plays in tournaments, and he shoots 90s. Yeah.
Yeah, terrible.
Yeah, I mean, the ball, I think only won 1 major compared to Spieth, but it turns out all those great young players. Looks like Justin Thomas is going to be the best of them all when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I think he's got a bright future.
I mean, Justin Thomas, I think, has already won 14 events on the PGA Tour. He's already won 1 major. If he wins a couple majors this year, which is very possible, I mean, he's one of those type guys that's going to have a chance to win 50 tournaments and maybe 6 or 7 majors the way it's going.
I hope so. He loves Alabama. Where
he weighs 165 pounds, 170 pounds maybe, and hits the ball about 310 off the tee. It's unbelievable.
All clubhead speed. Who's the commentator from Australia that won a major that lost his game, Will?
Oh, Ian Baker Fitch.
Ian Baker Fitch is another example. He's one of the top players in the world, and he just eventually gave up the game. He's become a great color commentator, in my opinion, but...
Oh, yeah, he's good. Speaking of color commentators, have you seen what CBS is going to pay Tony Romo? I mean, the NFL Players Association and players are just furious. He's going to make $17 million a year calling games on CBS.
What?
Way more than players making the NFL to play the game.
Well, Michael, the guy's worth it. If you've ever watched him and Jim Nance, you watch. He's sitting there calling the play, just looking at the formation before they even run a play.
Oh, I know. Don't get me wrong. I think he's good, but Will, $17 million a year is unbelievable for broadcasting.
Well, I know, but that's nothing to these people. Money is just,
Of course, Romo is only 39 years old. He keeps on wanting to try to play on the PGA Tour one day, or the senior tour at least.
Hey, it's an ego thing because ESPN wanted him, and he had it in his contract that CBS could match ESPN, whatever ESPN offered him, and that's what it was. So
well, I mean,
CBS.
For anybody out there, I mean, that's good to know. If you're a former player and you want to go ahead and shut it down and retire, that there's that much money in broadcasting.
Well, they say Drew Brees is going to do the same thing. Tom Brady probably do the same thing.
Yeah, I tell you, it would be great one day after he gets because I don't even think he'll play the senior tour. I think Mickelson would be great on TV.
I think so too, but Mickelson's got so much money, he probably won't play the senior tour.
Yeah, that's
he's not going to play it. He's just commentating.
Well, Nick Faldo never tried it, did he? Really? Seriously?
No, Nick didn't play senior tour. He didn't care about it.
If that was easy money, I would. I'd play it for a year or two.
Greg Cleagley, who I think never won on the PGA Tour, he's been winning a lot of tournaments, and of course your cousin Doug Barron's been doing really well as well. I don't know how he finished yesterday.
He didn't have a good tournament this week. He shot even par the first 2 days, and then I think he was 3 or 4 under yesterday. But
I know Freddie Couples is like in the 60s, and he was doing well, but the guy that's the most phenomenal senior player of all time, Langer, who I think was almost 63, won again.
Right.
So it's amazing a 63-year-old guy is still playing that kind of golf.
Well, he keeps himself in such great shape. That's one thing that he's got going for him.
I mean, you play golf your whole life, Will. I mean, what's the first thing that goes? You're putting when you get older?
No, my distance is gone. My distance used to be really. I was a long hitter. Now I'm a very short hitter. And I played Saturday, and it's just ridiculous. I can't get it anywhere off the tee anymore.
We need to recap college basketball. We haven't mentioned that, I don't think. Bill, Alabama wins 16. Well, they're now 16-13, beat South Carolina at home. They were down by 12 at one time in the first half, come back and win. Auburn goes on the road, plays Kentucky really tough, and gets beat, I think, 73-66. So Kentucky wins the SEC championship already. But Alabama's got an outside chance that they could beat Vandy at home on Tuesday. Then they're on the road at Missouri. That would get them to 18-13. And then if you win 2 games in the SEC tournament, you got a chance to maybe get into the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, everybody's written off Alabama, but I thought the same thing, Mike. If Alabama could win the rest of its regular season games and then win 2 in the tournament, they'd have a pretty good argument.
Of course, Auburn will be a high seed in the SEC tournament. I don't know. Is that going to be in Nashville again, basketball tournament?
I'm not sure. Since Alabama hadn't been competitive in forever, I don't follow it as closely as I used to. That's my argument about basketball. You're interested in it as long as your team is in contention to make the big dance. But if they're not, you kind of tune out interest.
They're having the SEC tournament at Bridgestone Arena, and that's where the Predators play hockey.
Yeah.
That's where Kerry Rice and I saw Billy Joel when we made our trip to Nashville a couple of years ago. Probably the one vacation we've gone on since we've been married. I strongly encourage, if you get a chance to see Billy Joel, as old as he is, go do it.
I'll bet there's 20,000.
Yeah, he sells out every show. He's got this standing gig at the arena in Manhattan, and once a month at least he plays a concert there, and he's sold out every one of them for 70 shows or something.
Yeah.
But getting back to the Auburn Kentucky basketball game, I didn't watch it, but I did read about it, and one thing that stood out to me said there were 46 fouls in that game. And I think, well, the basketball game is 40 minutes, so that means you got to foul more than one foul every minute plus. Doesn't that just kind of ruin basketball for you, this continuous stoppage of play?
Well, that's the same way it was in Alabama-South Carolina game. I think Alabama went to the line 40 times.
Still, the man being on by 14 points at free throw time, and that was different.
I see it in football and basketball. In my opinion, the referees are ruining the sport. Do they think people are paying hard-earned money to watch them stop the play and influence the outcome of games? My philosophy is, if it's borderline, don't call it. Let them play. But my philosophy is...
What time do the polls open tomorrow, Will? What time can people get out and vote?
It's 7 to 7 all throughout the state.
So that's good to know. Anybody out there wanting to vote, of course, we want everybody to get out and vote. It's very important. Of course, I wish I could get out and vote for you, Will. I'm down in Florida these days, living down here in Grayton, but definitely get out and vote for Will Matthews and vote for all these other candidates. I know we've had a couple of them on the show, and should be interesting. interesting to see what happens.
Oh yeah, I'll be watching. Well, I'll be watching the news tomorrow night to watch the.
We're at Mike this morning about stupid questions.
Dad had to go to UAB and see one of his doctors up there. You know, Dad does all his different visits from time to time, and him and Mom are dropping up there and having to take care of the granddaughter. I would imagine for a night up there. So Dad, I don't know whether he'll be back tomorrow morning or not. I'll have to find out.
Your sister Camille is on her way to Paris, isn't she? All right.
Yeah, she's in Paris and now she's in Morocco. So she's in Morocco for a week. She's over there buying a bunch of fabric and rugs and a bunch of other stuff. So.
Does she ever call into the show? She needs to call in and give us a travel report.
Yeah, I don't know what would the time difference be over there. 7 hours?
Well, when she gets back.
It's 7 to Paris.
I want to hear what Morocco. I've heard what Paris is like. I want to hear what Morocco is like.
She better take a mask with her if she's going around.
Yeah, they had masks on in the airport, she told me. So I would imagine that's something that's going to be, if you went to the biggest airport in the country, the Atlanta airport,